feels like it was just a moment ago when we were introducing metta and then karuna. And here we are. This is our last week on compassion. And of course, I can hear Bill's voice and actually see his expression on his face. It's not like we're going to leave it or anything. I mean, we don't just stop talking about it. It is here with us, always available for us. What a gift. These beautiful, boundless, life-affirming, life-celebrating qualities, even in the midst of all that is going on. What a gift. We are cultivating and setting our aspirations and intentions to live and embody metta, compassion, mudita, joy, and upekkha, equanimity. These are relational qualities, and they work in concert. We all suffer. We all have witnessed suffering. And each of us in our own lives and ways have knowingly and unknowingly caused suffering, whether it's to ourselves or to another. Practice, a meditation practice, a mindfulness practice, or compassion practice doesn't just improve our lives. If we keep practicing, it can actually start to define our lives. So many of us, me included, began because someone said, you know, this would be really good for you. You should really try it out. And sometime, if we continue to practice, it eventually sinks in that it is really good for us. We begin to taste and trust that there's something very important in these embodied practices. There's something precious in these heart, mind, and bodies that really deserve our attention. We get the experience every now and then of a spaciousness, of some relief from the contractions from our tight views. One thing that allows relief is compassion, karuna. It helps to soften the tight and constricted stories of who we think we are and what we think we deserve and who we think they are and what we think they deserve. When we think about compassion, we naturally reflect on the qualities that upholds others, upholds ourselves in our deep and fundamental goodness. Sometimes, maybe a lot of the time, this is difficult to trust, particularly when we are gripped by that insistent mantra of not enough, not enough, not enough, not enough, not enough. And that's not just a tight view. That's a punishing and condemning view. how we feel about ourselves makes a difference. This notion of basic goodness has a basic impact. We have to trust more that we are fundamentally good, because when we don't, we suffer. And we suffer needlessly. It's easy to say good things about compassion, and compassion can be challenging. Some of us may need to grow gentleness, and some of us may need to grow some firmness. I think in many ways, our path is discovering what we need and learning somehow to be our own teachers in this way. I think one of the most direct ways of learning is in our failures. How am I with my failures? How am I with my own suffering? There are probably sufferings that we have more grace with, and sufferings that are more challenging for us. Authentic compassion, and I'm pretty sure this is Pema Chodron saying this, happens when we can see our challenges, our roughest edges, the most difficult moments as our blessings. David spoke to this last week. How am I when I've really blown it? Really blown it? How those moments when, oh, I want to take it back. There are some experiences in my life that when I think about, I cringe. I think that's a common experience. I hope I'm not alone in that. Really, yeah, maybe just a little wave out if you know that experience. Thank you. Last fall, I shared about my car being broken into, and all of my identity was taken: my credit cards, my house keys, my driver's license. And eventually this person was caught because he had used my credit card at a Rite Aid. And I often wondered, what did he buy at that Rite Aid? I was grateful for my practice, because when I was settled and safe, felt safe, I had the question, how have I grabbed something valuable from someone else? Out of my own selfishness, out of my habituated patterns, maybe I didn't consider someone's heart, what mattered to them, or I took away a sense of peace and security with a harsh, critical word or a correction. How have I caused harm? Those times when I really wasn't thinking about the impact that my behavior would probably have on another person. And Buddha recommended 2 qualities, I'm going to put them in the chat, that help each of us, that we want to embody and inhabit in ourselves in order to protect ourselves and the world from harmfulness. Hiri and Otapa, I'll get it in later. Together, they act as posts, almost guardrails, for discerning skillfulness, for learning how to live skillfully alone and together. Hiri, H-I-R-I, is an innate sense of shame, thank you, Catherine, over a moral transgression, and Otapa is a moral dread of that consequence. And Buddha often referred to them as the 2 lights in the heart, because as they are beaming, if we can see them, they guide us in right direction and toward less harm. compassion helps us to pay better attention to these lights. So I was thinking about this talk. I thought, what suffering has been difficult for me? And, we all have layers and layers of suffering. And we are learning how, in a mindfulness practice with metta and karuna, to turn toward, to begin to metabolize and keep our bearings as they rise up inside of us. So I was thinking about those times of going into a medical facility and getting some kind of testing, and often you're greeted with a welcome, a hello, nice to see you, and that's great, that's wonderful, that's nice. But there are these moments when you're met with indifference. Right to business, no hellos. And in those moments, Jaye's ego, tight ego, is threatened by her perception of a lack of regard, an experience of invisibility. We all have reactive patterns around these difficult moments. And we want to notice in that moment the feelings and patterns that start to arise and pull us away from our vulnerability. Self-disclosure here, my pattern has sometimes been righteous indignation, a little pompousness, a little condescension, and maybe throw in a little sarcasm for good measure. Because it hurts to be with this vulnerability. It hurts. And this is the moment where, like Susan often says, we tether the breath to the body and the body to the ground. We feel for stability, calm, and settle, because if I act out of this reactivity, and I have hiriotapa, I am creating more harm. I am hurting myself, and I know I'm not adding to the quality of this person's life, whatever that might be. I have no idea how they're doing. It hurts to be ignored and feel invisible and discarded. And many, many people are ignored, discarded, and in fact, invisible. There is a dying in this. So I share this to share that suffering in room 208 of some medical facility helps me begin to understand how others experience their worlds. It's a link. It's a bridge. It's an opportunity. When we feel reactive, that's the best time to begin to explore, look at our suffering, breathe, calm, and settle. I close with these words from Pema Chodron. Generally speaking, we regard discomfort as any form of bad news. But for practitioners or spiritual warriors, people who have a certain hunger to know what is true feeling, feelings like disappointment, embarrassment, irritation, resentment, anger, jealousy, fear, regret, sarcasm, instead of being bad news, or are actually very clear moments that teach us where it is that we are holding back. They teach us to perk up and lean in when we'd rather collapse and back away. They're like messengers that show us with terrifying clarity exactly where we are stuck. And these very moments, this very moment, is the perfect teacher for us. And what a gift, and how lucky for us it is with us wherever we are. Thank you for listening.